Super Bowl edition. No, not really, because
Not
we're
really.
we're
Yeah.
sick of talking.
Yeah.
We're sick of talking about the Super. We are going to talk a little bit. I mean, there's some things we got to talk about, but we're just kind of sick of talking about it. And we've plenty of time. But baseball, we're getting close.
Hmm.
A lot of things happening in free agency. A lot of things not happening in free agency, which
Yeah.
what's going on, dude.
Right.
Um, and then yeah, we got some fun little tidbits that we're gonna get to. But
Let's do it.
I see you got your Buckeyes, so you Buckeyes big win tonight against
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
that
At the time of this recording, Ohio State just upset 18 Maryland. So that was fun. Very exciting game. Bruce Thornton is like to be the greatest that there ever was. That was a great game. I know last episode we talked about March Madness coming up. So my Buckeyes aren't going to make the tournament. We'll have an NIT run again, but I mean, come
What
on,
if they what if they
we
win the Big Ten tournament
well,
though?
but we lost 9 games. I mean, I don't even
But
know.
if you win the Big Ten tournament, you get an automatic bid.
Yes, that's
So
also true.
you get
But
a
but
run
now there's
and you get in.
182 teams in the Big Ten. It's not guaranteed you make the tournament. But
Yeah. Oh, that's true
we
too.
we could talk about college basketball later on, whatever. But yeah, let's briefly go over the Super Bowl here, Dad. What do you got for us?
Well, for what we're seeing already, I mean, we got what was it, Jalen Carter with the
Yeah,
flu, is not practicing, and
yeah,
then now the coaches and everybody saying that the flu's ripping through the clubhouse and the locker room and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, if it's the flu that I had a couple of weeks ago, where I cracked a rib like an old lady, coughing and sneezing, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to be fun. That's going to be a bad scene for the
yeah.
Eagles. Hopefully you bring in all these doctors and everybody, they got all the resources and thing, and you get them right, because I don't want to see that affecting, the game. So
Yeah, I mean, and it's like if like of course that would happen, right? Like
yeah.
after everything around this Super Bowl and this matchup and these teams and this storyline and whatever, like why not, right? A team
I do
can't
want to ask you though,
yeah.
it, if the Chiefs win, is Kelsey proposing in the middle of the field to the Swifter?
I I don't care
I think
so
so. I
much
think he's gonna do it.
that
I,
I think
is that a prop bet? Do you get
I'm
odds on
sure.
whether or
I'm
not that
listen. I'm
happens?
gonna tell you what. I'm sure there's an
We
over
should look
under.
that up.
I'm sure there's some money lines there as far as it's.
We'll call our guy Bob Does Sports, and
Yeah,
and we'll
yeah,
ask him what the action
yeah,
is on that one, and
yeah,
see which way he's rolling with it.
yeah.
But
Well, if you guys keep up to date on the TikTok account,
the
I
Tiki Talk.
the TikTok, I posted our Pro Bowl video. My dad wasn't in this one, but I had the guys come with me. We went to the Pro Bowl. We did a little friendly there. How many Lions jerseys we were gonna see? So that was really cool. Crushed the over. Absolutely
Yeah.
destroyed the over. And that's just what I got on camera. My phone died at the game. So we saw more than what I recorded, but we still crushed the over. But I'll reach out to Steve and Jose, see what they got as far as betting on that, because they win stupid money on the sports betting. And I've won $6 at most, I think. So safe to say I'm not betting's not for the Schwartz family. Let's just put it
No,
that
no,
way.
no, no, no. There's a candle
Yeah.
still burning, and
Yeah.
and I think it's St. John's Catholic Church
Yeah.
that as long as that candle's still lit, then I'll never win a bet in my
Yep.
entire life.
Yep.
Love you dearly, Mom, but
Yeah.
um,
And
you
quick tidbit, and we're gonna make this real quick. But I was at work the other day, and a few of the guys were watching the horse racing on the TV, and they were all putting $1 down and picking a horse, and whoever's horse won, they got the whole dollars. There's only like four of us, so you'd only win like $4. So they're like, "You want to get in on this?" I'm like, "You know what? Sure, yeah, I'll throw $1 in there." I did it 3 times. All 3 times, my horse came in last. Came in
and
last.
one of them probably broke his leg and
It
had
was
to
yeah,
get shot
yeah.
and sent to glue too. But I was thinking that would be that's
It's unbelievable. And
what
so
a
then they said, okay, well, how about we pick a horse who's gonna come in last? Bet on a horse that comes in last. I said, well, I'm not gonna do that because the horse I picked to go in last is gonna end up winning the thing. So
yeah.
yeah, betting's not
Yeah,
for us.
well,
But
needless to say, we're
yeah,
not going to get into any sports handicapping. Maybe we might
yeah,
get some guests on here to do that or
yeah,
whatever,
for sure. Yeah.
but
But
that's not going to be a thing. But
yeah, we can't, yeah.
so so we're talking about the Kelsey and the Swifter. What's going to happen if they win? If they do win, it's a three-peat,
Yeah.
and that's never happened in the NFL. What you look at all those Patriots teams, and you're thinking to yourself, are you kidding me? Like you felt like they didn't win they didn't three-peat at all. No, they never did.
Yeah.
And there's never been a three-peat. Even you go back, I mean, those Steelers teams in the 70s, they won two, and then they had time, and then they won two more, and then it's like the Cowboys won two a year off and then won another one. And nobody's ever been able to run three of them together. So it would be the first one in the NFL, which it would be extremely impressive
It would be.
to see, even though I don't want to see it, but I
Right.
mean, it would be impressive to
Right.
be the first one.
Especially considering that all of us, when we think, recently, that we still think Patriots when it comes to NFL dynasties. And like you mentioned, it's like, how did they not do it? You felt like they were in it every year. So this would start a really, really convincing argument that, Brady's Patriots or Mahomes Chiefs, who wins, this would really, really solidify the Chiefs as maybe the best dynasty we've seen in recent memory.
This
So,
would this would put them in that. This would put Mahomes with Tom Brady. This would put Andy Reid with Belichick.
yep.
This would, uh, it would be the thing. So I mean, but to show you how rare a three-peat is in sports, I mean, we're going back to the last one that happened in the four major sports. I mean, there's Juventus in soccer, or the football,
Yeah.
won like six in a row or something like that in the early teens or something. But the four major sports, and so we got this. So the last team to do it was can you guess?
We're talking the last team, like
The
in
last
all of
team in the
sports,
four major sports to three-peat.
to three-peat. No, I know teams that have repeated in recent memory, but three-peat, I don't have a clue, because
Yeah.
if we're going all over all four sports, my hockey and basketball knowledge is not that
Well, I
extensive.
got them
So
here for you. So the LA Lakers 2000, 2002, that
right,
was the Kobe Shaqs. They three-peated. I mean, you look at NBA. I mean, to me, it's the Jordan Bulls that had the 91, 93 three-peat, then the 2 years off Jordan, trying to play baseball, and then coming back, and then 96, 90, 98 three-peating again. Wonder what would have happened there. Would they
Mhm.
would they have been able to win those 2 years in between and then tied the record of the Boston Celtics from way back when that had eight in a row?
Yeah, but
You don't
they,
know, but so that's the most. I mean, we're talking 22 years ago since the
yeah,
last time we saw a three-peat across all the major sports. In baseball, it was the Yankees in 98 to 2000 three-peated. And then you go into the hockeys, and you got your New York Islanders had a four-peat
yeah,
from 1980 to 1983. And so that's what we're looking at. So that's what I mean. As much as we're kind of irritated about this, it is, we're all mad. Everybody in the country hates the Chiefs now. But we're on the verge of something that would
yeah,
be pretty
yeah.
significant, pretty historic.
And I'll say too, if it was any other team but the Chiefs or the Cowboys, maybe
Right.
everybody would be all for it, right? To be able to see something historic like that, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you mentioned it, it seems like all of America hates the Chiefs. Obviously the Cowboys, everybody's got it, but it, it's something that we haven't seen in a really long time. Um, I just, if, like I said, if it was any other team, I feel like we'd be all for it. But because it is Kansas City, nobody wants to see it. But yeah, let's not take away the
Well, dude,
fact
you
that
were
it's,
2 years old the last time
yeah,
any of the four major sports had a three-peat.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
to 2-year-old three-peaters.
And in fact, it was our Detroit Pistons that stopped the Lakers from winning more.
Yeah, well, 2004, yeah, and
Yeah.
that was the last real team in the NBA.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down that path right now. Maybe we'll save that for the next episode.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
but yeah, that 2004 Pistons team. I mean, a team of castoffs,
Yeah.
and went on the run, and they actually could have won a few. They
Mhm.
had some things that happened, and
Yeah.
the Spurs and stuff, but but yeah, so that's what we have as far as three people. But even with that going on, and with, is Kelsey gonna, propose to the
Mhm.
Swifter? I thought it was unique, or interesting, that when the Super Bowl matchup first came out, and it was like, okay, yeah, we've got, everybody talks about the ticket price. Ticket prices
Of
are
course.
ridiculous,
Yeah.
right? It's through the roof, right? So at the onset, it was, right around Championship Sunday.
Mhm.
So it was looking like the cheapest seat that was going to be available for the Super Bowl was $6,492.
And that was last week.
And however, now, as we're dealing with the second matchup of the Chiefs and the Eagles here in, 3 years, the cheapest seat has now dropped to $4,029. And the
Yeah.
highest price ticket, when it a week ago, was $56,409. That was probably what Taylor Swift paid for her ticket. Um,
Yeah.
but now the highest price ticket is 21,464. That's overall the prices for the Super Bowl within a week
Within a week.
leading
Yeah.
up to it have dropped 58%.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's crazy. And it's like, do I think the NFL thought they weren't going to be able to sell at the Super Bowl? No.
Oh,
But
yes. I mean, yeah.
they're going to sell at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, we all, listen, we sit here, we joke, boycott the Super Bowl. No one wants to see this matchup. You're going to
We're
watch
all
it.
gonna
We're
watch
all
it.
going to watch it. Right.
I
I
mean,
mean, it is, but yeah, it is interesting to me. What was going, like, and is it a New Orleans thing? Right. Does it have something to do with the Superdome? Is it, there's a lot that goes into it, but yeah, it's a very
it would
interesting
happen
thing.
on New Year's, and
Yeah.
maybe people are like, well, I'm not gonna
Dealing with,
make that
yeah.
trip there for this game. If it was,
Right.
Bills Lions, then yeah,
Right.
absolutely, or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting to see what why the prices are dropping,
Right.
and it
Yeah.
not just a little. I mean, that's 58%.
And
and
in a week.
and I think these are the lowest average prices for the past like 5 years
Mhm.
for the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
which is kind of odd considering inflation and everything else.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make much sense.
I mean, it could be a
Uh,
testament, right? It could be a testament to, like the NFL starting to get redundant, right? But we don't have the stat in front of us, and we should have, but I'm wondering, when the Cavs and Warriors played each other over and over again in the finals. I wonder how the NBA handled, like, were the ticket prices dropping, and I'm wondering that too, because obviously, listen, eventually, with any sport, with any team, with anything, when you're starting to see the same thing over and over again, people are going to, the supply and demand goes down. So it's very interesting, but I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but again, if it's a good game, then it's a good game, and
yeah.
whether it's the same two teams, and if they're good games, then so be it.
Mm.
But I do want to say, so before we move on beyond football and
Picks.
get into the baseball's spring training, let's let you have your moment to there's been a lot going on after the national championship. Now what's going on the sideline here? What's going to happen? What's
Yeah.
happening here?
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, in Columbus, we were, we lost that game to Michigan. We were calling for Ryan Day's head, all of us. I mean, there wasn't a single Buckeye fan that I knew that still had faith and trusted in Day. Um, and then he ran the gauntlet. I mean, he ran through it, and yeah, like the gauntlet, and he passed it with flying colors, and brought a national championship back to Columbus. So we just extended him 7 years to through 2031. Um,
Now you got now
insane.
you got Michigan fans saying, "Oh, thank you for doing
Yeah.
that."
Yeah.
He is 1-4
Yeah. Mhm.
against them. You got that one year that didn't happen because of the COVIDs.
Right.
Um, but it cracks me up when I do see this, and I just want to interrupt a little bit. And But it cracks me up when I do see this because, Michigan fan, that's the first thing that they're going to point out. But
Of
what they
course.
don't point out is that Jim Harbaugh was 0-5, and then he got his two little Connor Stallion wins,
Mhm.
and then Sherrod Morris 2-0 against Michigan. So so your guy Harbaugh was 2-5 even with the little asterisk Connor Stallion years. So let's calm it down. But
Yeah,
anywho,
and yeah, and again, and this is going to segue into my next point here. Michigan fan was making merch saying extend day. Okay, well, okay, for all you guys that were making that merch and promoting it and buying it and wearing it before this extension happened, you got to keep wearing it now. For the next 7 years, you have to keep your extend day merch going, right?
yep.
Because again, and this is like we had this conversation before on a few episodes ago. We're not trying to downplay rivalries anymore, but when you're expanding to a 12-team playoff, these games are going to start to lose value because there's going to be times where you're going to see these games 2 to even maybe 3 times a season,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
There
I
there
mean,
is a
we don't want to rehash
possibility.
old stuff,
Yeah,
but
there's the possibility that that'll happen. So, am I okay with this? Yes, I think so. I think Ryan Day proved himself by running the gauntlet. And it's a conversation we could go on a tangent here for hours about Ryan Day and Michigan, Ohio
not
State, and
only
all
did they
that. But
extend him though.
no, not only did they extend Ryan Day, but obviously you guys saw that Jim Knowles ended up going to Penn State. So we lost our defensive coordinator, but quickly we went up and we got a lot of guys now on this roster. We promoted from within, and we've so the first hire that we had, Brian Hartline, our wide receiver coach, was promoted to our offensive coordinator. And I've seen already great response from that. A lot of the guys currently on the team and even recruits that haven't even been to, camp yet are like, this is awesome. You know, Jeremiah Smith openly was like, hell yeah. Like he was sad that Chip Kelly left, but he's like, Hartline's my guy. And then we had some recruits that came out and said the same thing, like, we came there, but he was promoted from within, so it helped a lot. And I think it's a great hire. I
That
think it's a
kind of
great
like a
promotion.
a Marcus Freeman thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The
Yep.
players just love the guy, and it's cool to see somebody from within, kind of bump up and take that on and get their shot in an environment that they're comfortable in, and that I mean, listen, we all know, right? The strength of this team over the past I don't know how many years has been their receivers. So you take
Yeah.
your receiver coach, you make him the OC, and there you are.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we still have that open gap at defensive coordinator with Knowles gone. Um, we haven't found the guy yet, but we'll get there. But those are some, so, as the defending national champs, you got a lot of coaching changes going around. It's at least for us, it's a little personal because as Lions fans, we lost all our coaches after this year, and then
Yeah.
I got to turn around, and now my college, all my guys are gone there too. So it's a lot going on for me personally, but just wanted to quickly touch on that as the reigning national champs and already a favorite to repeat. We talked three-peats and repeats and stuff with the pro
We'll
sports.
we'll we'll do our way too early
Yeah,
preseason top 25
yeah,
and predictions for next year. Maybe we'll do that next episode or
yeah,
whatever. But but before we go down
yeah,
rabbit hole,
yeah,
um, you know, we're baseball guys.
yeah,
And we love football, love college football, love the NFL, love all sports, but we're baseball guys at heart. So I mean, here we are, we're getting up, we're coming close to it. And so the free agency stuff that's going on.
mhm,
Um, we talked about last time, there was Juan Soto, and then what's going to happen with Pete Alonso and all
yeah,
this. Well, Pete Alonso signs a 2-year deal.
yeah,
And I thought it was kind of interesting too, because in June of 2023, when Alonso had this representation, Apex agency,
yeah,
and they were able to get the Mets negotiated, and the Mets offered him a 7-year deal for 158 million, which equates to 22.5 uh, a year. He turned that down, wanted to test the free agency. Free agency didn't really work out. Got rid of the Apex, signed Boros and all this, and then now he ends up with a 2-year, $54 million deal. So that's 27 a year. He's 30 years old. Is this something saying that, like, okay, I'm going to take these 2 years, take a short deal stay with the Mets where I'm comfortable. We've got Juan Soto, okay, added to the lineup. So now, like, do I take these 2 years and have I'll be 32 at the end of it. Then do I go out and try to get my last
Right.
max deal that is going to be the one that's going to take me to retirement? Is that kind of the thought process?
I think so. Obviously the way that I think this was handled was terrible. As far, we're talking, you know, the way that you handled free agency in the offseason, it was horrible. I mean, the what was it? The Mets GM came out and was like, they're like, how has this process been with Alonso? And he said it's exhausting.
But that's Boros, though, right? That's what
Yeah,
I mean, that's Scott Boros. He's that's what he's been doing for decades,
yeah,
right? He pisses people off. You think he's screwing stuff up, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the day, like he ended up getting him, 27 a year for
yeah,
these next 2 years, and could put him to where he has the two best years of his career going into another
yeah.
free agency at only 32 years old.
Yeah. And Alonso has been, a staple for the Mets for a long time. I mean, he's been their guy. And he came up huge in the postseason last year. But so then that, I mean, obviously now with this signing, that shuts down all of the rumors. Obviously there was a time where they were talking about going after Spencer Torkelson, needing to get somebody at first base. But I just think, to me, it's like, listen, I don't have a problem with Pete Alonso, right? I don't have a problem with him. I don't dislike the guy. I don't like the guy. I don't really care. I'm not a Mets fan, whatever. But I just think it's kind of like, after all that, just to resign, you did all that, holding out, making it an obnoxious process for the whole baseball world, all that in 2 years. And I don't know.
Is that
I
going to be
mean,
bad for the clubhouse?
and that's what I'm wondering. Like, how many of those guys are kind of like, well, I'm over this dude now? How many guys lost respect? How many relationships were ruined? I guess we'll see when the season starts, right? I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot goes into it.
I actually kind of think that while it looks like it was a disaster and everything, it actually could be a situation to where they fumbled their way into a really
Mhm.
good situation.
Yeah, it
Because
could
this
be.
helps the Mets. It also it's like he didn't lock himself back into the Mets with a long term. Like, again, and he's 30 years old, like I said, so
Yeah,
32. Like, I mean, you
yeah,
still could get yourself a 6, 7 year deal,
yeah, yeah.
especially with the universal DH now, right?
Right.
So you can play it to 40 years as long as you still has a little power, especially a power guy. I mean, so I think that could probably work out in the long run. I think that Mets lineup is going to be dangerous now. When you look at Frankie Lindor, you got Juan Soto, you
Hmm.
got you got the polar bear. I mean, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah,
Right out of the gate, and
yeah,
so it'll be
yeah.
interesting to see.
And we talked last episode about the Mets needing to compete with the Yankees as far as the team in New York and the place to be and whatnot. I mean, yeah, like you said, it may have looked messy, but I think they're setting themselves up here pretty well to be able to compete with the
Kind of
Yankees.
one of those, they
Yeah,
screwed up, but
it might work out.
ended up
Yeah,
being good all the way around. I think, kind
I
of,
think so.
unless
Yeah,
unless like we say, because of everything that happened, unless there's some clubhouse issues
yeah,
there. But I
yeah,
we'll see. But we got to talk about the Blue Jays. Talk about
yeah.
they had their George Springer signing years ago, and
Mhm.
after, when he was going through, saying, so that, but after that, they're in the mix for everybody, and they can't sign anybody. They signed Max Scherzer, the whippersnapper, 15-year deal, or not 15-year,
Well, yeah, I
15
mean,
million one-year
Scherzer
deal.
ain't playing 15 years.
No,
Where you
no.
go to?
Well, I listen, the way
Eh,
Scherzer's been, he's like the Kirk Cousins of baseball, right? He just
this
gets
is also.
it's unbelievable what's going on. I mean, the Rangers finally, they ended their contract with him last year. So, but the Nationals, they're still paying him through to 28.
And that's
So,
another thing too.
and
Yeah.
that's 15 and a half. So he's making $30.5 million next year. With his 2024 stats, he went 2-4, 3.95 ERA, which it's not disastrous, but for Scherzer, that's elevated. Uh, only had 40 strikeouts and only pitched 43 in a third innings.
Hmm.
And now you got a guy who's clearly on the downswing of his career. Um, he's making 30. Blue Jays are paying him
Yeah.
15, 1 year deal, whatever. For the Blue Jays, I don't see a problem with it because the Blue Jays think that they can still compete, and especially with the expanded playoff format, you get in, you got a guy who could be a dog on the mound and win you a couple games in the playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. I mean, I
it
don't,
works out.
yeah. I mean, I don't hate the signing. I mean, I don't think it's all that crazy. I don't think it's ridiculous. I think, they saw something, they went out and got it. And listen, well, yes, he might be old. He's had his injuries, whatever. Max Scherzer is still Max Scherzer. He's gonna pitch well. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting signing. I think it's funny because we, for the last, couple episodes in the last couple of weeks, we've been sitting here just dogging on the Blue Jays, being like these guys, this, that, that. But
I mean, is that a
again,
big splash signing,
I don't think
or
it's
is
a
it,
big splash. It's a big name.
yeah,
I think if they had done this 4 or 5 years ago, it would have been obviously a lot different. But I don't hate it. I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's a ridiculous signing. Do I think it's the best thing they could have done this offseason? No. But I mean, we'll see how it plays out for him. It's definitely interesting to see. I mean, like I said, Scherzer's still Scherzer. He could come out and have a sign off here and it go out with a bang. You never know. So
yeah. I don't yeah, I mean you never know with him. Yeah, I wonder if the injuries are catching up with him, for as long as he's pitched. But yeah, I mean it seems to be a good thing. But what that does is it kind of leaves the main guy out there who still hasn't landed anywhere, and that's Alex Bregman. And
yeah,
what's he gonna do? Bregman came out and said he goes, he's like, I want a 6-7 year deal. And I get it, right? Like, yes, you want the long term
hmm,
deals and everything like that, and I don't necessarily think a 6 or 7 year deal for Bregman is a bad thing. But that basically bounced the Red Sox out of it. They're
yeah,
done. They
yeah,
like we went to 4 and that was it. And
hmm,
we're out of the mix. And the Blue Jays, kind of left as well. And but then it came out, and I saw that the Cubs are now in the mix, but
yeah,
they want a shorter deal, which really leaves the Tigers, who had we know that they did, at least we don't have any details on it, but we know by deductive reasoning that they offered him at least a 5 year deal.
yeah,
And if he wants 6-7, why not go one more and get him in there, and get this done. But the conversations around are saying he might not want to play in Detroit, and which is surprising to me. Why would you not want to play with a team that is as young and came out of nowhere last year and is primed and ready, and they're just a couple of pieces, and they've done some good work in the offseason, and you got your guy AJ Hinch as the manager. So I don't know what to make of that, but listen, if he doesn't want to play in Detroit and the Tigers sign him anyway, listen, being in Detroit, be in Detroit, the worst thing you could do. I mean, this is worse than Alec Boehm spouting off in Philly,
yeah,
and Philly fans going after him and him having to apologize. I mean, he will get destroyed in Detroit if
yep.
he shows that he's unhappy. I mean, it's happened before.
Oh yeah,
No matter who they are. I mean, Prince Fielder, he wasn't
yeah,
he wasn't happy, and there was rumors about clubhouse stuff going on or whatever. He was Cecil's son, and it was
yeah,
like, yeah, and then nope, it's done.
yeah,
So you gotta want to be here. You gotta love the
yeah.
city. And who knows? Maybe those are all just kind of rumors or whatever.
Right.
But
But I
um,
mean, yeah, you mentioned all those things, and we've seen it with Javier Baez. I mean, sort of different situation. It's more so he hasn't come out and basically said he's not happy in Detroit, but he hasn't performed to how we know Javier Baez can perform. And listen, and we've said it for the longest time. Detroit, if you're a quarterback, a goalie, a pitcher, and you're not the greatest that ever lived, then you get booed out of any arena and stadium you're in. And that's just kind of how it is. And, we were talking about the Super Bowl earlier, the Eagles and all this, and we talk about fans being ruthless. Like, Detroit, we could say this because we've lived it, but we got some ruthless fans, and unfortunately, with Javier Baez, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, I mean, we've seen. I mean, a lot of people are saying get him out of there, wasting our money. All this stuff. So
Yeah, but and I will say this too, though. I mean, for Bregman, he's wanting to shake all that what happened in
mhm,
Houston 2017, and the sign stealing and all that stuff. And I'm going to tell you, in all reality, for him, there's a lot of Michigan fans in Detroit,
yeah,
and they seem to not care about sign stealing anymore.
yeah,
So if you want to go to a place where you're going to be forgiven, as long as
yeah.
you win, cheat and steal and lie and do whatever you have to, that's
Yeah.
that fan base, and that's.
Unfortunately, yeah, and that's the contradictory that I have with myself every morning, waking up as a Buckeye but being a diehard Detroiter. I mean, it's tough. I hate it. I juxtapose myself every day, but and living in Florida, trying to explain that to people is a conversation that I hate
Yeah.
getting into, but I've done it a million times. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, you got Bregman there, and we still are yet to see what happens here, but spring training is right around the corner.
And because and it's the other part, like we just they made moves. I mean,
Yeah,
Alex Webb, Tommy Conley,
yeah,
uh, Glaber Torres. They're signing pieces. They're not huge splashes. They bring back Flaherty.
yep,
Uh, so you strengthen your bullpen, you strengthen your rotation, you add solid veteran leadership, and you hit arbitration deals with all these guys. To your avoided arbitration with a lot of
yeah,
these guys too, and to keep the core in place. For me, it's just like I don't understand why if Detroit is matching the giving you the longest, and you want a long-term deal, and they're giving you the longest option, and it's a situation that just seems like it's set up for you and for you to kind of get out of that shadow. I mean, George Springer, when he went to Toronto, they haven't won a World Series, but I mean
right,
they had some success there.
yeah,
Nobody talks about him being a cheater anymore.
no,
You know what I mean? So it's like, but so yeah, so that's kind of where we're at in free agency. We're waiting to see what happens. Hopefully something happens soon so that he can get down to Lakeland and have some fun with the guys down there. But
yep.
so one of the other things that happened and that came out involved in baseball was Ippei Mizuhara, uh, Shohei's translator that went gambling and stole $17 million from Shohei and was placing bets and all that stuff. So it as it turns out, so they came down and they said 57 months in prison, and you have to pay Shohei back $17 million. So, dude, what are you doing?
Right.
Is my like
Right.
you're Shohei's translator. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, we
It's
talk
yeah.
about is the best job in the world being a bullpen catcher. Is the best job in the world being the best baseball player's translator?
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
I
and
didn't
you,
I
and you
didn't
screw it up by being greedy?
I didn't know he was translating for Bryce Harper, but yeah, I mean, I think I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you what.
We'll get into that discussion in a minute.
um but yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. And now you're looking at 57 months in prison here, and it's and rest in peace, Pete Rose. But he had made a comment before he passed, like, where was my interpreter all this time ago? But yeah, I mean, it's a wild situation, and not only that, but owing that money back to Shohei as if he needs it. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy how you watch a guy completely throw his life away. Um, I mean, there's really not much else to say. I mean, it's crazy news that broke out today, but like you said, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, I mean, you think about like one of the easiest jobs. You're traveling around with a major league baseball team with complete unfettered access,
Mm-hmm.
and you're translating for a guy who has been learning English,
Yes.
understands English,
Mm-hmm.
can speak some English. So you're really only there if it gets to be like there's any confusion. You know,
Yeah.
and it's not like you're like, I used to work in the legal field and do with depositions and trials and those kind of where we had to have translators that were translating testimony that had a huge
Yeah.
impact on people's lives. And this is not even what you're doing. Like you're going out there and translating, just making sure and verifying that when the pitching coach goes out there and says, hey, this is what our game plan is against Pete Alonso, or I mean, it's silly to me.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, you're not making enough money. And you had to gamble and steal $17 million and try to set your guy up.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's the part that's unbelievable.
It really is unbelievable. Yeah.
But yeah, um, you guys like the hoodie. So it went away from the collared shirt, and go with the hoodie. So find the good brand, findthegoodbrand.com. And they it's all about mental health awareness. Proceeds 15% of every purchase goes towards Mental Health America. Fantastic shirts, hoodies, they're comfy. um Love it. So but if you want 10% off, additional 10% off, then use code BWELL10 and you'll get an extra 10% off. But yeah, I mean, awesome. It's a great message. You just look, you can find good in everything. Even, it just, if you're looking for it, then it's easier to find. But yeah. So anyway, it's awesome. These things are so comfy. To talk about this, I was laughing the other night. You were like, so if Greg Maddux in his prime was
Can I
pitching
explain
against,
myself?
huh?
Can I explain myself?
Yeah, go ahead. You set it up
All
because
right. So,
I
well,
was like,
okay.
you
All
got
right.
to be kidding.
So for those of you who don't know, my dad played baseball majority of his life. Um, I played a little bit in middle school, and then I walked onto my baseball team when I was in college. So I am a collegiate athlete. So just so everybody knows that. But since I've moved and lived down here in Orlando, Florida, I met a good buddy of mine named Doug. He's a big baseball guy, played his whole
Buddy
life,
Doug.
and he's coaching baseball now. He's coaching little league, and I help him out from time to time with practices and whatnot. But so we hang out often, and we like to shoot the shit about baseball all the time. And he's more of an old school type of dude. He's an old soul. And he's younger, but yeah, he's got that older mentality when it comes to sports and baseball and stuff. So we were talking the other day, and he was talking about the greatest pitcher, that because we were talking about Otani and all this and whatnot. So Greg Maddux, greatest pitcher of all time. Um, to me, I don't want to sit here and say I'm uneducated, but I'm a firm believer that Bryce Harper is the best player in baseball to this day, and it has been for the better half of the last 10 years. Now, I brought up the argument with both Doug and my dad. Um, I'm like, well, what if Maddox faced Harper? And they both thought I was silly, laughed at me, called me an idiot. And then I said, well, what about Prime Miguel Cabrera? And they said it's the same thing. So Dad, go ahead without further ado. Go ahead and continue with this.
So my all right, listen, I could give you some other dudes. Okay. I mean, I could even get, and to say Maddox is the best ever. I mean, again, we're talking about, eras and generations and stuff like that. I mean, Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax. I mean, but in that era of, the 90s, Maddox was, I mean, he's the professor. He's a surgeon on the mound. And I mean, the guy, some of the stories are unbelievable with him, and like I one that they were talking about, when Bobby Cox, sent Leo Mazzilli out there, and was said, hey, go tell him that, we want to walk Luis Gonzalez. Luis Gonzalez at that time was the hottest hitter in baseball and everything else. And Maddox says, no, he said, give me 2 pitches, I'll pop him up to third. And they kind of like looked at him. He's like, yeah, 2 pitches, I'll pop him up to third, and then we'll get in the dugout. It's Leo just was like, okay, went back to that. Bobby Cox was losing his mind. And what happened? Uh, Fouled off the first pitch, second pitch, pops it right up to Chipper Jones out of the inning. Chipper was like, "This is," he's like, "I've never seen anything like it. It was unbelievable." But that's the kind of pitcher he was. He didn't throw. I mean, I think his fastball topped out at 92 miles an hour. Like, I mean, it wasn't like he would kill you with 2 pitches that had, I mean, he wasn't overpowering either, and I mean, he knew exactly where the ball was going to go. I think some of the things that because he understood and he knew how to pitch so well. One of the other things I thought was funny when they talk about was saying how he called his own pitches.
Yeah.
And there was no signs or anything like that. And everybody was like, well, what is, so he had a thing with the catchers to where when they would throw the ball back to him, if he caught the ball up here, then it meant like, he's going to come high and, high and tight,
Yeah.
or whatever. And if he caught it down by its waist, then it's going to be low and away. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And
Yeah.
that's just what he did. And he was insane like that. But he's the only pitcher that has 300 wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and less than 1,000 walks in his career. One of the crazy stats, and this was one that goes around, and there's some adjustment on it, but it's still crazy. So he faced over 20,000 batters in his career. Okay. The real stat, so the one that's going around, the viral one, says that 300 and sometimes, but the real stat is, if you look at, go through and really dissect the stats, you can come to so it's about a little over 600. So 644 is what able to calculate here. 644 out of over 20,400 saw a 3-0 count. 153 of that 644 were intentional walks.
Wow.
So he and that was when you had to throw the 4 pitches,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And we don't know how many he was unintentionally walking. Like, they didn't call for the intentional walk, but he's very well known to pitch around people for certain situations. Like, there was another story with him talking about how he said that they wanted him to throw a pitch to get the guy out. I forget who the batter was. He said no. He goes, I'm gonna throw him this pitch. And they're like, he likes that pitch. And he said, yeah, no, I'm gonna throw
So,
it to
yeah,
him.
that's why I'm
And
gonna
so
do
he,
it.
he throws he throws lobs him up a meatball, and it was like a 3-1 count or something, and the guy hits a home run. And this is like, game
Unbelievable.
82 of 162
Yeah.
games. And he said, we're probably going to see them in the playoffs. And now he's going to think that I'm going to throw him that pitch. And when we get to that same count, that same situation in the playoffs, when it matters, I'm going to strike him out. And that's exactly what happened. So the guy's just
Yeah.
done another level. And I don't think hitters today can match that with him. That's why I think it's ridiculous to say, as good as Harper and Miggy are, to say that, oh, they're gonna, I think the only person
So,
who ever owned
yeah,
Maddox was Tony Gwynn, who is the
that's
greatest hitter of all time.
that's what I was just about to say. You guys, and Doug said the same exact thing. The only person that could even come close was Tony Gwynn. So, yeah, I mean, again, I may have made a bold claim there. Yeah, I may have overcommit a little bit.
Thinking with your
But
heart.
listen, and is if for anybody that knows me, and you especially, Dad, I'm like the biggest Bryce Harper stan that there is. And so I would like to say that Harper would just go up and go yard on any pitcher that ever existed. But also, I wasn't around during that time, so I didn't get to see Maddox in all his glory. So um, but yeah, so that was a fun little conversation we had. I mean, just based on what I've seen in my lifetime live and the timeline that I've lived in, to me, Harper is top three greatest players I've ever seen in my life. But Dad, Harper's my guy, so I'm gonna ride with him.
So Harper's a clutch guy. So he's like even when we talk about Derek Jeter, like Derek Jeter didn't have like the greatest stats, overall in these things, but he always had the clutch hits. I mean, it was the Reggie Jackson type, Mr. October and stuff like that. And Bryce Harper has that aura to him
Yeah.
that he's made for big moments.
Yeah.
Plus he plays with passion. Yeah, I get it, but yeah, it was bold. Um, it was out there a little bit. You can't pick on Greg Maddox. Um, the guy was unbelievable. And I love watching like even Barry Bonds and look, I think I'm frustrated that Barry Bonds spent as
Yeah.
many years as he did using steroids because I do think that Barry Bonds prior to that, like when he was with Pittsburgh, he was on pace to be one of the best
Yeah.
five-tool players in the history of the game. And I mean, he really, really was. But it wasn't even so much of that as I mean, there was that steroid era, but he was the first one to use the big guard on his elbow that kind of
Yeah.
leaned it over the plate, which kind of split.
Yeah.
You didn't have anywhere to throw, so he cut his strike zone down in half just by using that, which was against the rules and
Yeah.
still is against the rules. But beyond that, he sees his pitch, he
Hmm.
doesn't, and he knows like when he talks about like his matchups with
Yeah.
Maddox, and he's going through the progression of okay, he did this, he's probably going to do this. I mean, those things are super fun to watch and super
Yeah.
geek out on listening to them.
And
But
and baseball is the greatest sport in all there ever is in the world. So, also just real quickly before we hop into some trivia, at the time of this recording, the NFL honors are currently going on. I got some breaking news.
breaking news.
Breaking news. Josh Allen has been named the NFL MVP for the first time in his career. Outstanding. I think
I
it's very
like it.
well deserved. Obviously Lamar is unbelievable, right? But he's already got two, and I think Allen and the Bills beating Baltimore in the playoffs got him that. And then in other news, Detroit, we were robbed once again. Kevin O'Connell wins Coach of the Year over Dan Campbell. Frustrating, very frustrating. Those are the first two that have been announced. The other ones haven't been announced yet. Dad, just quickly before we get into this trivia, what are you thinking?
So I like Josh Allen as MVP. I do. I think I wouldn't have been upset with Lamar. But I do like Josh Allen as MVP. Um, he's got to get over that hump though.
Yeah,
He's got to find a way to beat Kansas
I mean
City
they
in the
both do.
playoffs.
They
Yeah,
both do.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, they both do. I mean, but but no, I like it. I think it's deserving. I think he is the MVP. I mean, he's that team. I mean, they're
Yeah,
not even where they're. I mean, you could say Jared Goff.
Jared
Jared Goff.
Goff.
But
Jared Goff.
let's talk about the coach of the year. Okay, so look at I've said it. Like I don't like the Vikings. I do like Kevin O'Connell. I do think Kevin O'Connell is a good coach. I like him. I like the way that he coaches. I like the way that he interacts with his players and he gets the most out of his players. Same, I mean, Dan Campbell's the same thing,
Yeah,
and Dan Campbell with what he's look, the Lions beat the Vikings twice and were 15-2 in the regular season. And had all of those injuries on defense and that I mean injured reserve. I mean not just injuries were banged up or no, this was like dudes out.
yeah. I mean, we
And
had third stringers starting games.
yeah. The only thing I'll say is to why maybe it swayed to Kevin O'Connell was because he was at the very beginning of the season, he was kind of thrown a quarterback situation that he didn't expect to be. But you can't really say it's not like say like the Lions losing Jared Goff and then all of a sudden, oh, we've got to go with Hendon Hooker. It because you know what Goff
Right,
was, right?
right,
Like they were going with JJ McCarthy and,
right.
and nobody knew what he was,
Hmm.
especially coming out of his years at Michigan where he wasn't very good passing the ball. The only time he was very good passing the ball was when he knew exactly what the defense was doing. He couldn't win the starting job, based off of his bad arm at the beginning until the start. So and then you end up with a backup like Sam Darnold, who has been a starter. I don't see, like, yes, you losing your quarterback situations in turmoil and stuff like that, but no, you can't.
Yeah.
That's
Listen,
silliness to me.
I agree.
But
Yeah, I agree. I think that's 2 years in a row now. 2 years in a row now. I mean, Kevin Stefanski last year, and then you got Kevin O'Connell. I mean, two. I mean, listen, this is
yeah,
the Detroit Lions we're talking about. I mean, this is
yeah,
Dan Campbell has done something that the world never saw happening. I mean, even when we hired Dan Campbell, everybody on ESPN and Fox and all these other yahoos like Nick Wright's dumbass all came out here and had to sit there. Oh, well, he was on the 0-6 team. It's everybody doubted the guy, and look what he's done with the Lions. He's made him a
yeah.
contender.
And they laughed at him,
Yeah,
for the
it is.
biting the kneecaps and things.
Yeah,
I mean, he
they all
wasn't
thought it
saying
was.
Duval, like, I mean, but
Yeah. But yeah, so there's that. Obviously, next episode we'll go through all of the awards given because, as I said at the time of this recording, the NFL honors are currently live right now. But those ones were so big that I had to announce those real quick. But next episode we'll dive into that a little bit more. But trivia, Dad, what
yeah,
do you
let's
got?
go. Let's go. So I said, I was looking at it, and I said, okay, well, you're born in 2000, so let's go back to 2000. And let's look at all the Super Bowl, because it's Super Bowl week. We got Super Bowl coming up. So let's look at and say from the year 2000 till now, there are 7 teams that have won multiple Super Bowls. Can you name those 7 teams?
That have won multiple,
Multiple
not
Super Bowls,
consecutive, multiple.
not consecutive, just
Okay.
multiple from the time that you were born to not
So
actually
now
one. Actually, it's the January 2000. There was actually the 99
99
season,
season, but right.
but
Okay.
anyway,
All right. So obviously,
7 teams won multiple Super Bowls in this time frame.
right. So obviously, right off bat, I can knock off Chiefs and Patriots
Yep. So
right away.
Chiefs 2020, 23, and 24. Patriots 2002, 2004, 2005. Then they had a 10-year gap, 2015, 17, and 19. So
Right. Um, Packers.
no, they did not win multiple.
So what year did Brett Favre win his first Super Bowl?
Oh, that was in the 90s, dude. That was
So that was well
90.
before. Okay.
Yeah, that was like 97 or 98. Now 96, maybe. Yeah, it
Mhm.
was. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, obviously Chiefs, Patriots. Um, Colts.
No,
Only had the one. Manning. So the Colts only had one with Manning. The Broncos only had one with Manning.
correct.
Not the Saints.
Saints had one.
But, right. They had the one with Drew Brees. I'm trying to think. Steelers have only had Steelers.
Steelers in 2006 and 2009.
Right. The Jerome Bettis actually against Seattle in Detroit, and then against Arizona when James Harrison liked to die on a pick six.
That is good. That is
Yeah.
good. That's the most incredible play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Uncle Gary was
Yeah.
in his mind. He had like a $500 square. If the only thing, either making the field goal going for it and not making it, and then it was unbelievable. And then he ran. It was the most unbelievable. But anyway, okay,
All
so
right, so there's three.
so you got three, so you need four more teams.
Seahawks.
I will tell do you want to go and start getting into hint
No,
mode?
Seahawks. Seahawks.
Seahawks only won one.
They only
That
won
was in
one with Russell Wilson.
2014 when they beat the Broncos. They should have if Pete Carroll would
It's
have just ran the
intercepted at the
ball.
goal line.
Yeah, if he would have
All right.
ran the ball, they would have won two. But no, they only won the one in 2014.
Ravens only got one. No, Ravens. Yeah. No, the Ravens.
2001 and
Yeah.
2013. So 2001 was the Ray Lewis
Yes.
year, and then
Yes.
2013 was the blackout Harbaugh
Joe
Bowl.
Flacco year. All
Yeah.
right. So I've got four.
You got four, you need two more. So I'll tell you this. I'll give you a hint. So these two teams, they won at the very beginning of this time frame, and they've also won towards the end of this time frame.
Oh, the Rams.
Rams in 2000, that was the year that was Kurt Warner and the greatest show on turf.
Yep.
The 1 yard or
Yep.
1 foot Steve McNair.
Yep.
And then 2022 with Matthew
Stafford.
And then the last team.
Oh man.
I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
I can't give you that hint. That gives it away.
Yeah, don't give me one that's gonna give it away. But all right, how about this? Let me ask you this. Was their most recent one within 10 years?
Oh yeah.
5 years.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's not the Eagles.
No, they won once in 2018.
Nick Foles.
Mm-hmm.
Recent. Well, it's been the Chiefs and the Rams.
They beat the Chiefs.
Oh, Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Tom Brady in 21, they beat the Chiefs, and then in 2003 with Brad Johnson and John Gruden and that whole crew, they won.
Yeah.
So that's so you got the Rams, you got the Ravens, you got the Patriots, you got the Buccaneers, you got the Steelers, and then the Chiefs.
Okay.
Multiples.
And so now I already answered a couple while doing that, but
the six teams to only win once in that time frame. You said them all.
I did say all of them. Now,
Yeah.
can I remember when I said all of them though? That's
no,
that's
you
the
can't.
thing. I don't think I remember.
Run through it real quick.
Well, the Eagles were one of them.
Yep.
The Packers were one of them.
Yep.
The Colts were one of them.
Yep.
The Broncos were one of them. And the Seahawks.
Oh, wait, dude.
Broncos and Seahawks, that's 5.
Yeah, but you forgot I glossed over it. Actually, it's pretty incredible. There's another team that won multiples that you didn't say.
Really? So there's 8 total.
No.
Oh, I only gave you 6.
You only gave me 6. I jumped the gun a little bit. So this one, yeah, there's one more team that won multiples.
Tampa, Baltimore, Kansas City, New England, Rams, Steelers. Ooh, that's right. That was only 6.
You want a hint?
Yeah.
They beat the same team twice.
Oh, the Giants.
Yeah. Eli Manning
owns Tom Brady. Oh, and so okay, all right. So then we go back to the 6. Saints, Packers, um, Broncos, Seahawks, um,
Oh, you're just very far now. Colts and Eagles.
Colts and Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. So that's
Wow.
so 17. So 7 teams won multiples and 6 teams won once in since 2000.
Wow.
Uh, which is pretty interesting. And so
Yeah.
and well, you so we could have another team on Sunday join the ranks of the
Yeah.
multiples
The
uh
Eagles pull it off.
if the Eagles pull it off. But but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And then even when you look back on it too, because like so um I mean teams that okay, so the Rams beat the Titans and they beat the Bengals, but then like everybody else, like the Steelers beat the Seahawks, but then the Seahawks, you know what I mean? Steelers beat the Cardinals, so the Cardinals, Buccaneers in 03, they beat the Raiders, and the Raiders haven't been back. So there's like four
Yeah,
teams
there's a
that
couple.
that haven't that weren't that were only in the Super Bowl once,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy because even this because the Saints beat the Colts and the Colts ended up winning and against the Bears and but no, it's yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah, I
just
mean, well, because there's also, and this is another one that you can come up with later on, but the difference between the teams that have never been versus the teams that have never won. That's a pretty good list too.
yeah. There's a
But
lot that haven't been actually,
yeah,
and I was well, not that. No, there's only four that haven't been, but there's a lot that haven't won, and I was
right.
kind of surprised by that when I took a look at it.
Yeah.
What are the four teams? Just real quick, what are the four
Yeah.
teams that haven't been?
Browns, Lions, Texans. Who was that fourth? I just
Super
saw it. Oh,
Bowl.
Jacksonville. Jacksonville. Yeah. I
That's
could have
gonna be my
sworn
favorite thing to do
I could have
ever.
sworn like Jacksonville was good at one point
They made it to the AFC Championship.
with
Their
Blake
second or
Bortles.
third year in existence. The
No,
same the Carolina Panthers did too, but then
they
they haven't been.
well, the
They,
Panthers made it to the Super Bowl. They just Newton lost to
Panthers have made it to two Super Bowls actually.
but also they made it to the AFC Championship that one year with Blake Bortles when Brady embarrassed him
Oh, that's right. So they've been to the AFC Championship
twice.
twice. Yeah,
Yeah. But but yeah.
but
All right. Yeah.
all right,
So
well, cool.
yeah, you got anything else, Dad? Or are we
Nope, that'll do it.
all right, real
So
quick.
we'll get ready for the Super Bowl. We'll get we'll get ready for spring training, and then we got to start getting ready for March Madness and start
Yep,
getting to that. And then there's going to be that period of time there. Listen, the Red Wings are making a run,
they are
kind
seven
of
in
a
a row.
run, kind of a run it could be a Stanley Cup type of a run. There's some very eerie similarities between them and the St. Louis Blues when
Yeah.
they won it.
Yeah.
So,
So
but
yeah,
anyway,
guys, we're gonna dive into some hockey next episode.
yeah. Well, we're
First
not gonna
time.
die.
Yeah,
The
we'll
ice, it's
touch.
hard.
It's
Like
true.
it
It would
was,
hurt.
yeah, hurt.
I don't want to do any
Uh,
part of it.
but we'll slide
Also,
into some.
yeah, there we go. Slide there.
Yeah.
Also, I mean the NBA, we're not big NBA guys, but I mean the
So,
Luka
I
Doncic
mean, there's the big
the
trade.
Luka trade
We
was
didn't even touch
crazy.
on that, but I
Yeah,
mean, we can talk about that a little bit more. Luca
yeah.
to the Lakers,
For Anthony
it
Davis.
kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
crazy trade there. I don't really think it all matters much because the NBA, I can't take it seriously anymore, personally. But within the same breath, Jimmy Butler now to the Warriors. So some pretty big trades there. But before we sign off, um, we haven't talked about it much. I would like to try and talk about it more if I can get this old man to start paying attention again like we used to. But WWE, the Royal Rumble just happened. My guy Jay Uso. Yeet. just won the 2025 Royal Rumble, eliminating John Cena. They were the final two. That was a really exciting match. John Cena's about to retire. He's on his last run, so he's got
Well,
about two more matches. So
he's older than me, and that's saying something.
I don't know. He will still kick your ass.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, so I
You
definitely want
can't
to
see
get,
him.
yeah, you can't. Well, that's the problem. Logan Paul, Logan Paul said on his podcast, he was like, I don't even remember getting eliminated. I just remember I got kicked by Jey Uso, and then this force just threw me over the ropes. I love that we keep that joke going for as long
It's
as
the
we did.
silliest
It's
thing, but
so
it's
good.
it's amazing at the same
Yeah.
time. Oh, and speaking of, so one of the greatest spectacles in golf is happening, the Waste
Yeah.
Management Open. Ricky Fowler had his camo from head
Yeah.
to toe. He
Yeah.
put his John Cena outfit
Yeah.
on,
Couldn't see him.
which was a
Yeah.
bold move
Yeah.
for that too. But no, that's
Yeah.
always fun to watch. But yeah,
There
that's
it
what we
is,
got.
guys. There we go. Yeah.
All right,
So
we'll
that's
see you.
another episode wrapped up. Make sure you guys follow us on all the socials, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and stay
And go
stay
check them
tuned.
out.
Yes. Mhm.
Findthegoodbrand.com. Use code BWELL10. Get yourself an extra 10 off. And then, like I said, 15% of everything goes to Mental Health America. Um, Fantastic. And the stuff looks good. It feels good. I mean, you're gonna buy stuff anyway. You might as well
Yeah.
buy stuff that's gonna go towards mental health, which is super important. Um
Absolutely.
so yeah.
All right, guys. All the links for that will be in the bio below, as well as all of our socials. We'll see you guys next time.